Good day, students. We are moving over to topic 4, data handling. I will be dealing with the tally chart, the bar graph, and the pie chart if possible. A reminder, my videos are a bit rushed. I just need to get them out as soon as possible. An example, a local college magazine held a poll to determine the favorite choice of sport of NCV learners. The results for the first 30 responses are tabulated below. Basically, 30 learners have responded to which sport is their favorite. This has been given in the table below, and if I have to look at the sports, I have sports. If I go further, first question says, tabulate the information onto the frequency distribution table. At level 2, we are going to call it a tally chart, but please understand it is a frequency distribution table as well. Secondly, we are going to draw the bar graph, and thirdly, the pie chart. First and foremost, let me understand what a frequency distribution table looks like. This is an example of a frequency distribution table. In this case, we are dealing with the choice of sport. I first have the different sports that I am dealing with. I see tennis, volleyball, hockey, squash, soccer. Then I have a column that deals with the tally. It'll lead me to a count, and a frequency basically tells me the number of students that chose each one of the individual sports. When I do a tally is done like this. That represents 1, 2, 3, 4, and as soon as I put a line across, that shows a 5. In order to ensure that I do not make any mistakes, I'll start crossing off. Soccer, under soccer, I'll put in a 1. Then I'll go to volleyball, cross out volleyball, under volleyball a 1. Soccer again means this becomes a 2. So basically, this tally enables me to calculate the frequency. To put this more into perspective, to a neater frequency distribution table. As you can see, I have the tennis and I have a tally. This represents 5. Likewise for volleyball, I have 5 plus 1, and that gives me a 6. When I add up everything coming down here, it should give me the total, which is 30. From here, I can go ahead and draw the bar graph. When I do a bar graph, 90% of the time, this grid will be given to you, but sometimes you might have to draw it from scratch. But nonetheless, it is quite simple. I have a label, a bar graph showing my favorite team. At the bottom on the x-axis, I have the different sports that I'm dealing with. And coming on the y-axis, I have the frequency. And the frequency is just my count. For instance, I can see tennis has a frequency of 5. I go to tennis, it has a height, or this bar should have a height of 5. And all I do is I construct a bar coming down there. Likewise with volleyball shows me a frequency of 6. I simply go to 6 and I can draw a bar coming down there. If I look at the one that's given, squash, give me 9. If I go up from here to here, it gives me the value or the height of 9. Just to put this into a bar chart should look like this. This is the title. This is the code of sport on the x-axis, again listing all the different codes that I have. On this side here, the y-axis, that shows me the frequency. And if I look at the different heights, for tennis, I can see tennis as a height of 5. I go to volleyball, volleyball has a height of 6. If I go to hockey, hockey has a height of 3, which means that 3 people chose hockey. I can also use a bar graph to get the actual frequency. So it means from a bar graph, I can calculate the frequency. Once I have done the bar chart, remember 6 to 7 marks in the exams. I'm now moving over to the pie chart. Given over here is a protractor. A protractor will enable me to measure degrees. Hence, when I am dealing with a pie chart, and pi, remember, is representative of a pie which is circular. Now, in order to convert to degrees, I go back to the same frequency distribution table. Tennis, remember 5 people out of 30 chose tennis. 6 out of 30 chose volleyball, which means I need to convert each one to degrees. Tennis means that there's 5 people that chose it out of a possible of 30. I multiply by 360, I get a value of approximately 60 degrees. Now remember, sometimes you might get 59.999. That's difficult to measure on a protractor, so I round off. Now remember, your rounding rules might not apply. You must ensure that when I add up all the degrees for each sport, I end up with 360 degrees. Volleyball, you can see volleyball is 6 out of 30. Is 6 divided by 30 gives me 72 degrees. Hockey, there's 3 people that chose hockey. 3 divided by the total, which is 30, multiplied by 360 gives me 36 degrees. Squash, which is 9, and soccer is 84 degrees. So each one of this now shows me the number of degrees it will be in this circle, which is 360 degrees. Now, how do I go about representing this? Very simple. This is what a pie chart should look like. Firstly, don't forget the title. On this side here, I have each color represented by a specific sport. So tennis is this one. Volleyball is represented by the next color, and on and on and on. But you don't have to have this key. You can simply go ahead and write it in the pie chart. But first, before I write it, let's see how I would show the first piece. Tennis is 60 degrees. Let this be your starting off point. All I do is I put my protractor and I measure 60 degrees in that direction. I mark it off and I draw the first point. So that becomes the first point. If I want to represent volleyball, volleyball now is 72 degrees, but I measure it from this line over here, which means I measure 72 degrees coming down there. And likewise, if it comes to hockey, I measure hockey from that point, and I'll measure hockey 36 degrees on that way. And when I measure squash, it's 108, and the last one automatically covers itself. Now, as I had mentioned, you don't need to put down the sport in terms of a key. You can go ahead and represent it on the pie chart. For example, if this is soccer, inside here, you can write soccer. And that is good enough for the examinations. Thank you.